something that I'm really proud of. This might be one of those 10-second things
That's
that
all right.
you were talking about cutting out afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question.
You're listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Well, hello again, everybody, and thank you for clicking on the button that says AV-IT Amplifier. As always, I am Ryan Gray, and I am your host, and we are back for week 2 with Patrick Angielczyk from I would say one of our friends from up north, but you can't even make it US based anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like it really is cool where like the network of people that listen and participate is not so US based anymore. And I love that thing. So Patrick, welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. And thank you for everything you shared with us last week. Would you just remind everybody who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. My name is Patrick Angielczyk. I'm from Mohawk College, which is in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I am the AV technologist here on campus.
Nice. Well, again, thank you for coming back. I'm gonna call you out on something first. So this is if you're just listening to the audio, listen, pay attention, but make sure you go back to the YouTube because I actually saw Patrick take a hammer to his office before we started recording today. And that's a first for this, but it was to make sure that in your video, in your background, you have something cool hanging up on the top shelf of your desk behind there. So what is that thing I see up behind you there?
The HETMA, I would say the official HETMA scarf from ISC. So I think if I remember correctly, you could only get them if you attended ISC and you stopped by the HETMA booth. But I might be wrong about that.
No, that is 100% true. Well, that is the only place those were, and they are all gone. But so one, it's cool to have it, and two, this was fun because you have yours up there, and I don't. I'm in my home office today. But if I just turn and move out of the way a little bit, it's fuzzy. But you see what's hanging on the wall back behind me there.
There you go. Yep.
There's the same dude, and the cape and that's the Elvis cape from Infocom last year. So that's cool.
So is there any stipulations to get a cape?
That was one of those. So just real quick, the Infocom last year, the theme was Viva. It was Viva Las Het. Yeah, which I'm going to go on one little side tirade because it's grammatically incorrect. You know what I'm saying? Hetma is a singular, Las is plural. It should have been Viva la Hetma. And there was a whole meeting about it, and we literally, in the long run, had to take a vote on it. And I lost the vote, so I support Viva las Hetma. But in Spanish, the definite article la is singular and las is, so Las Vegas, because all right, now I'm done. And I will let that go. If we're going to be a real organization, international organization, we're going to have to pay attention to this stuff. Let's go. But yeah, no, Ann Kelly made those capes by hand for each person. So the board members and some of the chairs who were there, and then she made them for the platinum, a rep for each of the platinum sponsors. So like they are literally, they bought fabric, sewed them together, their color and design for each person. So it's the same, like that's a bespoke thing from that event. So the real question is, I wonder what the thing at Infocom this year will be. I wonder what the thing at ISC next year will be. So, all right, we got off track a little bit there, but starting with that, like obviously you're pumped and proud of it because you've put it up right behind you there. So I'll give you a twofold question, which is first, you touched a little on the importance of trade shows and being connected with the industry in the first episode. So the travel to ISE, for you, why is that, why is ISE a place that you need to be? And for folks out there who, the thought of, going from North America to Europe is probably a tough pill to swallow for their school. How do you work with your institution on talking about that value?
So I was introduced to ISC last year, thanks to a distributor here in Canada, Data Visual, that hosts a sponsored event to get people from higher ed over to ISC. So last year I was introduced to it. I was blown away by how big the event is.
Mm-hmm.
There's 8 or 9 halls that are just full with not only AV, but a little bit of everything when it comes to unified communications, digital signage, which they all fall under AV, but they're, it's just kind of all a little bit of everything. And this year, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I just decided that, in the midst of everything, I was just gonna basically book a vacation to Europe, and I ended up in Barcelona, and I said, well, it's a good opportunity for me to go to the trade show. There's a lot to learn at these trade shows. There's there's a whackload of networking that goes on as well. I was very happy to see that HETMA had a booth in representing higher education at ISC. So had to definitely stop by, and definitely one of my biggest motivators was to make sure to get one of those. So I had to get there early enough because I didn't want to scrap with anybody just to get one of those HETMA scarves.
When supply ran low, I don't want to say we had to, moderate some scrap fights over there, but it turned out pretty good. That's awesome. So ironically, I was the same this year, which is I wasn't planning on going. And then as the booth and the plans and the things came together, and there was so much, like, the interest from the industry and us being there got so big, it was one of those, like, okay, we got a lot to do. We might need a little more help. And it wasn't on and I looked at that week on my calendar. I was like, it had been the week before, I couldn't have gone. If it had been the week after, I couldn't have gone. But it was that I used vacation time this year. My school
Same with me,
do that. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll continue to work on the campaign for people being able to make that trip, because ironically, it's really not significantly more expensive than, like, for me to go to Orlando for InfoComm this year than to go out there. So, and it's at a great time of year. So, that's awesome. And hold that scarf with pride. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. I'm curious. So the other, to lead into one of my standard questions, I want to ask them, because you mentioned in the first episode, you described yourself as a sort of either a lifelong learner or, somebody who's that, and you talked a lot about, learning and educating yourself about technology in the AV industry. Are there areas of learning outside of your job that you like to go down the rabbit hole of, or that capture your interest?
That's actually a great question. No one's actually asked me that. There's some other stuff that I've always been very passionate about, which is music, which kind of goes hand in hand with the AV industry as well. So I mean, I've tried to keep up with my music. I've been playing since I was a little guy at like 3 or 4 years old. So definitely doing that. Also, thanks to our team, I've been really looking into other things like lean manufacturing, quality control. For whatever reason, that's kind of, I've been learning about that, and it's coming now in not only into work, but also into home, and how to be more lean. So I'm, taking courses on stuff like Lean Six Sigma, lean manufacturing. The list goes on. Always trying to learn more about that stuff. And then the last thing is because we are part of the IT department, I'm also thinking and always trying to learn about ITIL. So I have my ITIL certification, and learning more on, how to provide better customer service for people, because at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, right? It's how can we provide better customer service for everybody, especially, when something breaks. It's not a good time for anybody. It's not a good time for us. It's not a good time for the faculty member that's teaching. It takes time out of their teaching schedule. So, sometimes just coming in and saying, I'm really sorry that this happened, trying to get them up and running as quickly as possible. And it all relates down to customer service, right?
That's awesome. And yeah, you're right. I love it when these things come, because at my institution, we're now all full-time people in IT, be it AV, be it networking, be it whatever, is ITIL Foundations is a requirement for that. And we're all in on that. And I have a full-time person that's picked a Six Sigma brown belt first, and then going down Lean Six Sigma as a route. So I agree. We're all dealing with some of these same things, but having training in these best practices, these process building things, really can take the things that can be daily challenges and help you build processes to deal with them and processes to avoid them. That is in a universal way. So it may not be AV focused, but it's got a lot of AV value in it. So that's
absolutely
cool. All right. So then in the alternate version of the metaverse where you don't end up working in AV, what do you see yourself doing or loving?
It's a great question. There's so many things that I could pick right now, and I can't pinpoint one, because I think I'd be really disappointed if I picked just one on a podcast. So
that's all right.
Honestly, I think if is professional student. I think I've mentioned this before, a professional student and just a lifelong learner. I think if I could be paid to be a student, which I think maybe there is an opportunity there, I would definitely be, a lifelong learner.
Yeah. So like almost a route in academia where I'm never stopped learning. But then I'm doing research in the field. I'm learning and bringing new knowledge to my field of study. Like that is a very lifelong learner type
There
thing.
you go.
So, Professor Angielczyk, is that possible someday?
Perfect. It's a possibility.
All right.
And I think the best way to learn for ourselves is to teach, right? To teach other people, to be a mentor for other people, because it keeps your skills going, right? I've been mentoring someone for the last 2 years, and they went and they wrote their CTS, and they had asked me questions about stuff that was in the CTS handbook that I haven't really looked at quite some time. Just cracking open that book and looking at it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this, and here's how I can explain it, right? So, or how I can teach it to you with an explanation. So yeah, I think definitely teaching someone is probably also the best way for us to keep on top of our knowledge and to learn ourselves.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's it's almost like that's anyway. Yeah, like how often do we see activities and learning modules and things like that lead you down that road? Because absolutely, mastery, when you're moving from introductory to mastery, that demonstration of mastery is about being able to teach, but then for your own knowledge, but then also to create dialogue with another person, right? To really show the synthesis. Don't take me down the road of instructional design, because I will geek out about that all day. But I totally agree with that. Okay. All right. So here's one for you now, and I'm curious about this, because this question is either people are like, nah, I've never really, or they have a really surprising answer to it. What is the highest level you've ever jumped from?
Well, I used to be pretty involved with rock climbing.
Ah.
I'd like to go back to it. So I don't want to over exaggerate, because I feel like if I say like 10 or 15 feet, someone's going to call me out and say, no, you're lying. You would break your leg or something like that. So I don't know, maybe 10 feet.
Okay. So, all right, rock climbing, let's talk about that, because what you said you were really involved in it. was that like, I like to go to the rock climbing gym to do things, or no, I like to go out to the national park where that sheer cliff face is and put my own anchors in and climb it.
Yeah, I one year I just got this knack. I said I'm gonna try something totally different. I ended up going to a climbing gym just in a neighboring city here in Burlington, and just kind of watched some people do some bouldering and just some self-propelled climbing, and I just said, I'll give it a shot. So I went out, bought some gear, ended up going for for a few sessions, met some great and interesting people that I climbed with, and then stuff kind of just has come up over the last couple of years, a bit busier with other things,
Yeah.
but I actually did pull out my gear a couple of weeks ago, and actually at the HETMA Roadshow, one of my friends and colleagues in the industry had said, I sent him a picture. I said, I think it might be time. And then so he had asked and said, well, did you go out climbing? I said, no, I cleaned my stuff off. He's like, you can't tease me like that, because he's also very involved with rock climbing. So who knows? Maybe we'll get an AV team or group together, AV rock climbing or something like that. It would be maybe a Toronto chapter. If you're looking and interested, Ryan, we'll have you up in Canada for some rock climbing. I don't know if that's your thing, but
Yeah, I'll tell you. You know what I'd be really interested in that is I'll bring a chair. I'll sit down at the bottom and I will shout encouragements from
there you go.
You know what I'm saying? I think that would be my best my best involvement in rock climbing at this point. So
there you go.
Yeah, exactly. That's one follow up on that, which is you said at one year or one time I kind of had this urge to just do something different, and do it. I think people have that urge all the time. I do too. I'll see something looking, that's really interesting, I should do that. But that ends there. Oh, I should do that, but it never happens. So any insight into the difference between, I think I should do that, and what got you to actually go, actually go to the place and learn about it and do it, to convert the thought into action?
It's funny that you ask about that. I find myself kind of at a crossroads, a lot of times, and kind of say, like, what am I doing here, right? Like, why am I at a rock climbing gym, right? And like, what's going to entice me to go through that door, right? To even learn about it. I mean, I've been to some trade shows as well sometimes and be like, what am I doing here? Something that's not AV related, just say, for example, going to learn about whatever it might be, and just say, like, what am I doing here? But then I kind of quickly think to myself, is like, well, what's wrong about learning something new? And then the second part is, the worst part that someone's going to say is no. And I get back into my car and I drive off, and that's it. So it's about, I think we all have anxiety about learning something new, and it's just kind of getting over that hurdle, right? And I know that there's a saying, a lot of people say, if you're not, I forget what the saying is, and maybe correct me if you've heard it before. It's like, if you're not uncomfortable or something like that, you're not really learning. I forget what the saying actually is, but finding yourself in an uncomfortable position might actually be one that is a new new learning opportunity for you, right? So, but yeah, it's just getting over that hurdle and stepping foot into, whether it's a climbing gym or a trade show or somewhere that you've never been before. It's just getting over that hurdle. Like I said, the worst case scenario that someone says is no. You get back into your car, or you walk out and say thank you very much, and that's it. So
nice. Yeah, I like that. There's probably a number of sayings that are along that line, but yeah, if you're being real comfortable is a way to make sure that that you don't go anywhere, or everything stays the same, and
Yep.
learning to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. Yeah, and like you said, it's have that rise of anxiety, feel that, know that anxiety is going to fall back. Then the next time the peak won't be as high, and the time after that the peak
Yep.
won't be as high. So all right,
Yep.
that's very cool. What's something that you're really proud of?
That's a great question. Something that I'm really proud of. You know what? I think one thing that I would say that I'm really proud of is, taking the opportunity to mentor and to lead other people in the AV industry. Like I said before, I've had the opportunity to now mentor a few people in AV, whether they're connected with the AVIXA Rising Professionals Council, or just kind of someone that's I've crossed paths with. I'm very proud of the people that I've been mentoring and teaching. Like I said, some of them have resulted in in going out and writing their CTS and learning more about the AV industry. For some of them, that it's something that they thought they may have liked, and they don't want to continue on with it, and that's fine as well, right? It's I'm just happy and proud and blessed that people are actually coming to me.
Yeah.
I'm very proud that people are coming to me and trusting me with their time, and I'm happy to provide what knowledge I can to people.
That's and I again, I don't think there's much higher calling that people have than to invest in others and to bring things up. So I think that's a great thing to be proud of. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that answer. See, you took a second to think about it, but you know what? That's a great answer along the line. And it's a call for people out there that, like, there's, I talk to people at times and things, and actually it comes up when I'm inviting people to be on this show, and an answer is, well, I wouldn't have anything to say. Nobody, everybody else out there knows more than me, or I'm not accomplished enough, or I'm not whatever. And like the people who are being mentors to others are themselves not perfect. We are, but the opportunity and the growth it gives, someone could use your help, and it's very rewarding. So, take that as a call out there for anybody who's out there. I promise, the people who you look up to are not as well put together as we make ourselves out to be, I think.
Just on that note, mentorship doesn't have to be anything that is set in stone or with any sort of schedule. Mentorship can be something as easy as just getting together for a coffee for, an hour or two, or whatever that schedule is, once a week, once a month, and just having a quick chat with someone, right? Because you never know what can come out of a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, one of the people that I mentor, it was our scheduled time for our kind of chat right when the Toronto Roadshow came up, and I said, I'm gonna step back, and I think the best mentorship that you can get would be to go to the HETMA Roadshow. You're in higher ed. There's going to be a lot of other higher ed professionals at the show. There's going to be a bunch of manufacturers and other people that you can talk to. So let's put a pause on our kind of sit down chat. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there. Go talk to your community, right? So mentorship, like I said, it doesn't have to be this scary thing. It can just be, somebody sits down with you and you have a chat over coffee. It can be something structured. It's really what works for you and your mentee, right? For the mentor and for the mentee, whatever works.
Nice. That's awesome. And not to put you on the spot, but would you say there might be opportunities for people who wanted to find out how to mentor somebody, that the Rising Professionals Council might be a good way to get connected with those kinds of opportunities?
I think the best thing for anyone that's looking for some sort of mentorship is just to, again, get involved in some of the councils that AVIXA provides. There's, a wealth of knowledge in every one of those councils. And again, if you're if you like what you see in the AV industry, but you don't know where you fit in, come join us at the Rising Professionals Council, because we are a stepping stone for all these other councils. Let's take one great opportunity to talk about what happened last year at Infocom. The Rising Professionals Council hosted a event called Put a Face to an AV Career Path, and we had a bunch of different AV professionals in the room. So we're kind of like, we had this PowerPoint set up, and we were gonna stand there and talk and whatever, and then all of a sudden we're just like, what are we doing? Like, let's not have this death by PowerPoint. Let's open this up for people to chat amongst themselves. Yeah. So I had someone that was looking at project management, and it's like, oh, this person here actually does some project management already. Someone came up and said, I don't really know, where to get started. I'd like to learn more about what the opportunities are within the AV industry. It's like, well, and then it's kind of on us to kind of just have that conversation, say, well, what if you looked into, maybe I can introduce you to somebody in live events or project management or integration or whatnot. And the conversation just keeps going. So that event was fantastic because you had the opportunity to talk to so many different disciplines within the AV industry. And it just opened up the opportunity for networking. So again, like I said, with the networking opportunity from the Rising Professionals Council, we're a stepping stone. So, you might come to us. Like I said, we have two different documents that are available through the Avixa page for the Rising Professional Councils. One is the Keys to Success document, and the it used to be called the Young AV 90-Day Project. It's the Rising Professionals First 90 Days project, which we are actually revamping and adding two more job titles and descriptions, which is one consultants and the second one being tech managers.
Nice. That's awesome. And I love, what a great way to go about, like you said, we planned an event and we had this, but in the long run, the connections was the important thing. When in career development, one of the sayings is, right, it is, you can't be what you can't see. So we've got these career people in the room. Let's get people, face to face with someone who can answer those questions, who can tell their story of how they ended up there. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. How would people get in contact with you and learn more about the things that you're working on?
Sure. I think the best way to get in touch with me is either through LinkedIn or through email. I'm hoping that Ryan will make a connection through either the some sort of link through the show and my email address, because my last name is a little bit challenging at times, but I'll spell it out. It's Patrick, Patrick Angielczyk, Angielczyk at mohawkcollege.ca. And you can find me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/Pat, P-A-T, last name Angielczyk. Nice.
That is good. And I love Zed. In the US, people don't say it, but it sounds so much cooler when people use Zed instead of Z. And yes, we will have your email and links to the Rising Professionals Council and your LinkedIn in the show notes everywhere. So everybody make sure to do that. And then final question is, the old U.S. newscasters or people who host shows or that sort of thing, many of them will have their own sign-off phrase, their thing they say to close out their program. So what is Patrick Angielczyk's drop the mic sign-off phrase?
Oh boy, I'm Patrick Angielczyk from Mohawk College, and Ryan Gray, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you for listening to the AV IT Amplifier. Join us again for next week's episode when we'll welcome a new guest who you'll want to hear from. We promise. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.